arsehole. But they were unusual. Above, the clouds moved away from the moon, which beamed brightly down upon... Tosh blinked. Something in the sudden moonlight, a shape in the mist. He squinted, leaned forward. The prow of a ship coming through the mist. Tosh opened his mouth to raise the alarm, hesitated, not sure if he saw what he thought he saw. He was wrong. It wasn't a ship. It was 2. No, 3, 5, a dozen. He stopped counting. There were far too many. He froze utter disbelief. At the same moment, another part of his brain reached back, groped for stories the old-timers told at the tavern about Pyrenees raiders who'd hit the coast, loot and plunder, and then flee back across the ocean. These ships had the same low, lean look and strange, square sails he'd heard in the stories, with accordion folds so they could be raised and lowered like expensive window blinds. But this wasn't a raiding party. It was an invasion. Tosh drew a lungful of air, turned back towards his comrades, and yelled, "Alarm! Alarm!" They turned, gawked at Tosh. "What?" "Ring the fucking bell!" Tosh screamed at them. One ran for the bell, and immediately began ringing it, the crisp, clear sound cutting through the noise of the wind. They'd hear it downstairs, and saddle the horses. Berrig and the others joined Tosh at the parapet, bringing torches. They looked with bewilderment and terror at the approaching armada. "Dumo, save us!" breathed Berrig. He leaned out, looked over the side of the parapet. Tosh wasn't very religious, but he'd gladly go to temple if Dumo appeared now and blasted the invaders with divine fire. Berrig said, "Wait, is that—" Something flashed silver in the moonlight and buried itself into Berrig's left eye. Berrig screamed and twitched. "Berrig!" Tosh moved toward the man. A large metallic star with 4 6-inch points. Tosh had never seen such a weapon. One of the 6-inch blades had struck deep into Berrig's eye, reaching his brain. Berrig twitched once, opened his mouth as if attempting to say something, then collapsed dead at Tosh's feet. Tosh grabbed a torch from one of the other soldiers. He leaned out with the torch, looked down along the side of the stone tower. A Pyrenees warrior scaled the wall, not 10 feet below him. He wore a strange, wide helm that flared out from his head, and armor of overlapping black, metal discs like the scales of some dark sea creature. The warrior's head came up suddenly, locked eyes with Tosh. Tosh screamed, rage, fear, anger, and hurled the torch at the warrior. It hit him square in the face with a sizzle, dislodged him. He tumbled silently back down to the rocks below. As the torch fell, it illuminated a dozen more Pyrenees warriors, clinging to the tower wall, doggedly making their ascent. Tosh turned to his comrades. "They're coming!" The others drew broad-bladed short swords. They looked scared. "Get below, Tosh," one of them said. Tosh offered a blank look in reply. "You've got saddle duty. Go!" Of course. Tosh ran to the trapdoor, flung it open, and nearly fell down the ladder to the floor below. He took the twisting stone stairs 3 at a time until he hit the bottom floor, a combination of barracks, kitchen, stable. The place was in an uproar, men hastily putting on cheap leather armor, fetching crossbow bolts, making ready to be destroyed. A barely controlled feeling of panic pulsed through the place. He felt somebody grab his shoulder. "Move your ass! The grey one is already saddled!" He was pushed roughly toward the section that had been blocked off for a stable. The captain. He had never liked the man, but suddenly felt sorry for the officer, stuck with being in charge of this mess. The man had already turned to shout orders at the others. Tosh ran for the horses. He was the last to arrive. The other 2 horses already had riders. He briefly thanked military discipline, something he'd never done before. In this desolate outpost, it would have been easy to let things slip. But they kept up the saddle rotation, drilled, maintained the watch. And Tosh was on saddle rotation. Dumb luck. He would ride away while the others died defending.